Hello, folks, and welcome to Supreme Sessions. I'll be your host, Jadeem Hall, and today we'll be interviewing Dicanio Tomlinson, also co-owner of the Gunnaz podcast. So initially, this was only supposed to be a written interview. It did not need a video. But I decided, since I was going to do it, why not record it? Why not video it? And produce it so you guys could watch for yourselves and see what's so interesting about the guest that I have today. And also, just a little disclaimer, majority of the interview was not caught on video due to technical reasons. It was a spontaneous decision, guys. So I didn't have enough storage on me to catch everything on video, but it was enough for you to see the real life interaction. And I hope you enjoyed the interview and gauge the type of conversations we were trying to have. And it was very insightful. I hope you guys enjoyed. But without further ado, let's get into it. Thank you for doing this interview with me, Dicanio. The first question I'd like to ask is, why did your parents decide to call you Dicanio Tomlinson?
The reason why they decided to call me Dicanio is because of the famous footballer, right? Paulo Dicanio. D-I space Canio, C-A-N-I-O. So anyone who knows my dad knows that he's a huge football fan. So it's not only Dicanio, it's also a middle name. The famous Arsenal top goal scorer, Thierry Henry. So my name is just a baller name, Dicanio Thierry Henry Tomlinson.
Okay, alright. So it almost, do you feel like in a way it kind of shaped your destiny?
100%, bro. 100%.
So where were you born or grew up?
No, that one is a long story, bro. So I was born, so everyone knows I'm from Waterhouse, right? So I'm born in Milan City, moved out like when I was around 4. And I've been a journeyman from there. So, journeyman. So, I've lived in many parts of St. Andrew, many parts of Kingston, section Mona High, St. Heights, all over. And this is where in Spanish Town where I've settled for the longest time. So, I've been here ever since grade 5 up to now. Or before that, between the age of 4 and 12.
Just all
over. Yeah, always fun.
Alright, cool. So early education.
So I started out at Lanhamans Prep. So that's right at Richmond Park.
Yeah.
I live right beside the school. Right beside, and the funny thing about that is no one knew that I live right beside the school.
Really?
Yeah, when Dad made it a point of duty that no one knew that. So I started out at Lanhamans Prep, and then that was for kindergarten. And then I branched off. I went to Quest Prep. That was from grade 1 to 4.
So, question. Why do you think your father made it a point of duty that they didn't know that they...
That's just my dad, bro. You see me? Like, people didn't know. He's just that strict type of parent, parent where I couldn't really give you a straight response, bro.
Yeah.
But I think it was mainly because if at that age, if kids knew that I lived there, maybe it would have caused some sort of problem. So
yeah, understandable. But that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. So which school you went to? So you went to Quest and then you went to Arden? Was that the order?
No, so it was Lanhamans, Quest Prep grade 1 to 4, 5 and 6 was Reservoir Primary. And then I went from there to Arden.
Oh, okay.
During my time at Reservoir Primary though, I did get the Maths Olympia top 10, just putting that out from grade 5. And then I also went on junior school challenge course.
That's cool. So, is it a case where math is one of your strong points? Is it like your favorite subject?
No. Back then it was, but when I went into high school, that's a whole different level of math. In high school, I became more of the business, journalism, singing, performing, the more creative side. and of stuff. Yeah.
Alright. That is this man to sing. So you can sing?
Yeah, I used to DJ. So I want anyone who knows me, like even my best friend the other day.
Yeah.
Since I'm at work, I have to build rapport with the people that I work with. So there's this part in the script that says, "Tell me something random about yourself."
Yeah.
And I'm like, suppose they ask me back, what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
So I asked my best friend for 9 years now. And she sent me 5 things, and one of the main things was, you're a great songwriter, a great poem writer as well. I had this dramatic monologue I did for my verbal presentation back in, and it took the whole class. I had to be restarting like 5 different times.
Wow.
Over and over. So, yeah, bro.
Can just imagine, like, one bag of man, I must be able to do something.
Yeah, bro.
I get you. So, this is something that I realized, like, watching your status, that you're trying to be a very devoted Christian. So, what I would ask is, how does that influence like your overall life, and how you strike the balance between like, life and being a Christian and all that?
Very hard, bro. Like
Straight.
the thing with straight, I don't talk. I want to correct it here because a lot of people think that a Christian is someone that goes to church or just goes to church every Sunday. Or a Christian is someone who follows the word of God and has done or is doing, living steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine. So that's my definition of a Christian. So I wouldn't classify myself as a Christian just yet.
Okay.
I'm aiming to be. But that aim, bro, it's one of the hardest things. One of the hardest things.
Because truly, really and truly, it's a lot about discipline and self-control and a lot of faith as well. Yeah, really, because a lot of things happen in life where you feel like you lose faith or you don't believe, and life is basically a faith-based construct. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. So what I would also like to ask you is there anyone in your life that changed your life perspective or your life overall?
Everything but only.
Alright, you want me to make a come back to this?
Yeah, I'm come back to that one.
Alright, so what do you think people misunderstand about you the most?
I don't think a lot of people misunderstand me. I'm a pretty straightforward person. However, I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago. So, for example, people that I was in high school with, they might know a different Dicanio or see Dicanio today and think that Dicanio is that same person as before.
Yeah.
And they might judge me based on that.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would say is different. However, you should know I'm a very straightforward person. I say it as it is. And I'm not afraid of what other people have to say.
And I think that is like the fact that you frame it like that, say you're a straightforward person, but you're not the same person that you are, because there's like a lot of different selves. So some people might know you this way, some people might know you that way. You're not necessarily a different person, but it's just a case where there's different sides to you that people know. And a lot of the times people from high school who you probably don't interact with like every day, they probably still have that same idea of you from high school. So maybe they probably talk to you a certain type of way, and you'll be like, this isn't really the same person, you grew up now, you have certain,
things are totally different in high school than it is as an adult. Yeah.
Exactly. So, how did you start supporting Arsenal?
Born with it, bro. you don't have a middle name of Thierry Henry and don't support Arsenal, bro. So, my dad's an Arsenal supporter. I grew up watching Arsenal every weekend because he was watching Arsenal.
Can you remember your first game? Arsenal?
I can't. I think the earliest start of memories were, I can remember Santi Cazorla, Wilshire. But I knew I was watching before that. Maybe I just don't remember the ballers. I remember Alex Sang.
Yeah.
Those type of guys. So Van Persie era. Sadly.
You want to go back to the question now, or?
Yeah, sure. What was it again?
Is there someone in your life that changed your perspective on things? Or your perspective on life on a whole?
I would say my dad. My best friend, for sure. And I would say maybe relationships that I've been in. Like things that happened, the way things happened. All of it was for a learning curve. And it kind of shaped the decisions that I make and the way how I carry out or go about things now. So I would say those are the main three things. My dad, my best friend, and relationships that I've been in.
Alright, so I hear you said your best friend like more than once in the conversation, and you said her.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the dynamic between you and your best friend?
Sister. I have two sisters.
Yeah.
One is in high school, one is in primary school now. I don't think they're at that age for me and them to be talking the way how me and my best friend talk right now.
Yeah.
But for me, my best friend is my closest sister.
Okay.
We have that relationship, like ever since I met her in grade 7, 2014. And we walked, Geneva, if you're watching this, and we walked, we're on our way walking from Arden to Halfway Tree every single day. Sometimes I see a car come, I jerk her, so I bring her back in. Bro, you see from them days, bro, we just have this. I don't know if I explain it. I've never felt, and this is totally platonic, so I just want to be straight on that.
Yeah.
It's just a sister love. Anything we can talk to her about. Anything she can talk to me about.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that, men and women can be friends, things can be totally platonic. So, I'm glad that, you have somebody like that, like a stand up behind you and so, cause that is very important. Very important. Cause even though you have your male friends and stuff like that, there's a lot of things that you can't share. The moment you start talking with someone serious, I'm going to laugh. So, as much as they care about you, they're definitely not the person so you should talk to. So, that's definitely, something I would say as well. So, I realized that you started the Gunnaz podcast. When was the begin date of the podcast?
It was July 10th, I believe. Forgive me if I'm wrong, you guys can go and check it out. I think it was July 10th, yeah.
And what motivated you to start it?
Alright, so first of all, I want to put this out there. It's not only me, it's my partner, Dylan Gale. So, we have been talking about this because we have this Arsenal support group on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And I've been in it for a decent while now, maybe 3+ years.
Yeah.
And we have always flirted with the idea of starting something like this. First, it was a podcast that people could only listen to. Yeah. He has a YouTube channel about drumming. I have a YouTube channel about other football stuff, right? So we both had some YouTube experience. And we both have a lot to learn, but we realize that we have a common interest of football and we are conflicting personalities. We have conflicting personalities.
Alright, so so how did you guys meet?
From school. We went to the same high school, Arden. Mind you, he and I weren't friends in high school. I just knew Dylan knew me. We didn't talk like that. It's after high school when people got more mature. I think Dylan would look at me the same way I looked at him back then. Not with much love. He wasn't my cup of tea, I wasn't his cup of tea.
Life is very fun.
Funny, very.
What I'll also ask is, how has the dynamic changed between you two from when you met him at high school to how it is now?
It took a total 180, bro. Alright, at that 180, no, 180, we took the 180. But as I said, we didn't talk much. now we converse almost every day, mainly about the podcast, mainly about ideas.
Yeah.
However, even if I should go back to even the episode we did a few days ago or a couple nights ago, right before we were supposed to start at 6 p.m. And we didn't start until around 8 p.m. because we were just there talking as friends, opening up, talking about life away from the podcast. If someone was to tell me in high school that I would have been doing this, especially with Dylan, Dicanio back then know that this I wouldn't be able to fathom that.
That's a very solid answer. Life has a very funny way of turning things like right on its head that you wouldn't even imagine. So, and also I like that you touched on the fact that, you guys, like the relationship is so real where you guys can like spend time talking about things and, talking about things like life and building, rapport outside of the podcast, and you already know that you guys share the common goal of being Arsenal supporters. So, that is really good. What I'd also like to ask you is, what have you learned since starting the podcast?
Starting the podcast has motivated me even in our work life.
Yeah.
Because as I said, we both had experience before. And I can say this, Dylan is one of the, if you had to choose someone to work with, to partner with, I would always choose Dylan. Right? We understand each other. There isn't an ego.
Yeah.
If one does more than the other, there isn't any arguments.
Yeah.
It's just about one goal. So could you repeat the question again so I can go back to the point?
What have you learned since starting the podcast?
Yeah, so what I've learned is a whole lot of things as it relates to YouTube algorithm, putting in hard work, doing everything with a plan, maths, doing everything with a plan, running the numbers, making sure that what you're doing will allow you to reap the success, right? So we have invested in a streaming service, we have invested in vidIQ, which is something that helps us to know how to get the best out of the algorithm. We started out using Skype, a free service, and we've continuously grown, and each time we grow and we move to one thing and we max that out, we move to another. So that is the main aim. That's what I've learned. I've learned to always work. Once you have a plan and once you see that you can realistically have that plan, don't look at short-term things. Look to your goal and keep doing those things every day. You can't perfect the future by looking at the future. You perfect the future by doing the best you can do every day. So that's the main thing that I've learned from this podcast.
That's a really solid answer. I actually don't have any follow-up in regards to that. So, like how we're on the topic of the podcast, how would you say it is balancing work and the podcast? And but even before I ask that, was it a case when you were going to school, right? It's a case that you were working while you were going to school. How was that balance like?
Alright, so firstly, I stopped going to UTech last year. So last year I went from the final term, from September to December. I was supposed to go in January, but there were some problems here. So I didn't get to go. So at that point, I was like, okay, let me just get a job and I'll go back to school after. Right? However, I landed this job and I've been working since then from about February the 10th. February the 10th, we started on July the 10th. That's funny. So there's something with the 10th.
And it's so funny that the Gunnaz is good at
the 10th. So I was just working straight until after that we started balancing the podcast and the job.
Okay. So the job, is it like taxing? Like how how does it contribute to, like, how much does it take out of a day per se? Like, how do you balance both the podcast and the job? Yeah.
Alright, so
and also what kind of job is it?
Alright, so let me start off with the type of job. So I work for a real estate investment company in Ohio. We basically reach out to homeowners, see if they're interested in selling their property. If they are, we connect them with a buyer. Or we attain the property from them to reinvest, whether to fix it and flip it, or to buy it and hold it with renters in it, stuff like that. So it's basically just a real estate investment or a real estate solutions company.
Okay. What would you say is your title? Is it real estate agent or?
Yeah, so I'm not an agent because an agent would be a licensed person.
Okay.
I am a closer.
Okay.
So I work with investors. So in the game of real estate, you have actual agents who went to school to become a real estate agent, a realtor, right? However, you also have people that are just, I wouldn't say rich, but they have money. So they can just buy a property if it's in distress, fix it up and make an extra 10K on it, make an 5K on it, make as much as possible, make 30 plus, make any amount, right? So those are investors. Realtors, however, no, realtors are the more formal type where someone can go to a realtor and say, hey, I want to sell my property. And the realtor can say, okay, I'll list it on the market for you. People who want to buy it can go on the market. They can see it, and the realtor will get a percentage of the sale. So that's the main difference between the agent and who I am, a closer.
Okay. Alright. It sounds very, I would say something that takes a lot of time out of a day. So how do you balance both it and Gunnaz?
Yeah, so it's a hustle.
Yeah.
Like doing real estate as working with investors is more of a hustle than working with an agent.
Yeah.
However, it's way more fun. So, and it's the same thing with Gunnaz. Gunnaz is also a hustle.
Yeah.
So let me just walk you through. It depends, because when we just started out, I was in a lower position. I didn't have much to worry about. When Gunnaz just started out, didn't have much to worry about. I was in a lower position. I just had a 9 to 5. And came back, right? Went to work, came back. However, now, throughout the time, took up more responsibility in the company, gain interest from my boss.
Yeah.
So I started becoming a trainer, training anyone who came onto the team. I was in meetings. At one point, I even filled in for my manager, who was HR, conducting interviews, stuff like that. So, and I've been here 10 months and the growth is crazy. They're like where I started out and where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So back to your question, how do I balance it? I wake up in the morning, no. So these days, I wake up in the morning around, say 7, and literally I would have just pray and then literally just sleep on my phone. When I start work until sometimes 11:30, sometimes 10. So I'm on my phone for maybe an hour, and then it's just straight into Gunnaz, ideas. What can I do while I'm listening to Pastor Gina Jennings in the background, right? So
is Pastor Gina Jennings like a mentor to you?
Yes, but he's way more than a mentor for me. You can call it a mentor, but I think of it way deeper than a mentor. Yeah.
Would you say like a spiritual guide, or?
He is definitely sent from God to preach the word of God. I can say that. So if you listen to him and you follow his preaching, because the main thing is his preaching isn't based on what he thinks. It's his preaching. He says it all the time. If he had a choice to preach what he preached, he wouldn't have preached it. He would have been somewhere else. He would have been doing jazz because he's a musician, right? He had many of us to go and do this, do that. But because he's a God-sent apostle, that not happen. For him, it's not about money. You know, the churches nowadays are It's not about money. It's not about that. It's about your soul, saving souls. That's why people that listen to him, they don't like him because he's harsh. He doesn't care if what he says makes you feel bad. And for me, I'll get back to your point, but for me, that's important because you cannot change or you cannot become a Christian if your conscience isn't. How do you get away from sin? Do you get away from sin by hearing nice things? You don't get away from sin by hearing nice things. You're gonna always fall back. You have to hear it raw. You have to hear it exactly how it is. And each time you do something, your conscience will allow you to drastically change over time.
I like that you said that because, early back in the days when, everybody never had cable and them something, used to come on TV. Is it like every Sunday, right?
I think so. In the morning, 9 a.m. or so.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say I'm not somebody who reads the Bible a lot, but I could tell like from the way how he speaks, he knows what he's saying and he has like a fire like in his belly and he's very stern, and I always like that demeanor because he doesn't give you this accommodative type of feel where, he's going to be like, tell you nice words and tell you nice things. To me, he always says it like it is, and I always admire that about him. So seeing that he's somebody that probably inspires you kind of tells me the type of person that you are and the type of things that you value. But not to go back away from the question. You can continue letting me know like how you balance.
So the schedule. Once I'm listening to that and I'm on Gunnaz, or maybe I have some things that I had to do from the day before because I fell asleep. I'm just working. So I'm on my phone, I wake up 7, pray, say, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna really pray long. So I may pray like a 5 minutes and then, but up on the phone till like 8:30. Because I get in a little niceness for the day. And then after that, it's just straight work. Whether it's Gunnaz or something from work the day prior, whether it's training, because since I start working at 8, I don't really like to train within my work hours. It takes away from what I can earn or other stuff like that. So if I have a set or a class to train or people to train, I ask them to come on before I start work or after my shift ends. So it's just straight work until I actually start working. And work is like meetings. Either I'm on a meeting or I'm on a phone or I'm on training with someone who is coming onto the team shadowing me to see how things are done. And then after work ends, it's Gunnaz. So you'll see right behind me, and even throughout the day you were here. The TV, you came in the morning, the TV was on Gunnaz, and you came back and the TV was on Gunnaz. That's for watch hours. My TV runs 24/7. And if my TV is not running 24/7, my laptop is running 24/7 on 14 different accounts. That is the plan. That is the... You also see me post a lot on my status, help yourself. Right? Anytime I post a video, help yourself. So if I can help myself before asking someone else to help me, I'm gonna always do that. So back to the schedule. After work at around 5 or 6, it's Gunnaz again. I either have to record, I post videos like say 3 to 4 times a week. So I'm either recording, editing, thinking of new ideas, creating videos from scratch or something. It's just Gunnaz all the way up. Bible study later in the night, and then I don't go to bed till like, it depends. Sometimes I'm so tired I drop asleep around 12. Sometimes I go all the way to 2.
Okay, so with all that being said, like how much hours would you say you work per day?
Both combined, Gunnaz and so that's from, now that I think of it, that's crazy, bro. So we have 24 hours. Most times I sleep like 6. That left 18. 1 hour rest. That left 17. So 16 and a half to 17 hours every day.
And even though it's a lot, I do think that
necessary.
Yeah, it is necessary when you have a goal or you're driven, You know, it's better to have a goal and driven, like have something that wakes you up in the morning than, you know, you just wake up and will be, you know, and I like that before you start work, you know, you take a little time, you prep, and then you attack the day, you know, and then, you know, you wind down your Gunnaz, content, you know, you do Bible study again. And I'm going to ask you about Bible study. Is it a case where you do it with people, or you do it by yourself? Or?
Good question. So even last night I did, a lot of people don't do this, but a lot of nights, because you remember I used to post, Jennings, all the way from status, post scripture, but I stopped. For a specific reason, but I stopped. And during that time, a lot of people, they like them pick up and either them listen or them read what I post. And they just reach out to me. I never reach out to anyone. Them always reach out to me. So I've done Bible study with a whole lot of people who just had questions about certain things. And I was able to answer and give them clarity. Just last night, not to go too far into it, just last night I had a Bible study with a friend about the Sabbath. And after it, she just understood it. And that's not me, that's Jennings. Based off what he taught. If there's a 30-minute clip, I'm gonna just say, hey, watch this. If you have any questions, we'll pause it. We share screen, we'll go through it. And the way how him explain everything from start to finish, it was like, whoa, no more questions, I understand. So I do it sometimes with persons, but most of the time it's by myself.
So the question about the Sabbath, was she asking like why people worship on a Saturday, a Sunday opposed to a Saturday, or Saturday opposed to a Sunday? Was that like?
Yeah, that was one of them as well. And God says you should worship Him every day. There is no set day for church to be held. Having a set day for church to be held is disrespectful to God. Because a lot of people, they say, hey, I go to church every Sunday, I'm a Christian. I go to church every Saturday, I'm a Christian. But that's not what it takes to be a Christian. The Sabbath means rest. And I don't know if you want me to go into detail. I don't think. He explains it way better than me. But the Sabbath means rest, right? And the Bible said that God rested from His work on the seventh day, right? And that's where the Seventh-day Adventists get their name from. Keeping the Sabbath on the seventh day. However, the Bible says you should not add or you should not take away. So one of the points that Jennings made was, if you are going to keep the Sabbath the way how it was then, which is from the Old Testament, then you should keep it exactly how it was then. So he started going through all the things that people used to do. Creating a fire sacrifice, blowing the trumpet, all of those stuff were instructions given to the people when they were carrying out the Sabbath. Now a lot of people, you always hear this, the Bible contradicts itself. They say that because of the Old Testament and the New. However, if you have the understanding, or if you are blessed to hear the mystery of the Bible, you will know that it does not contradict. One thing and another thing might seem like they contradict, but it's the meaning. So it means the same, but it looks different. So for the example of Sabbath Sabbath means rest. God rested, right? There are things that God said that the children of Israel should have done on the Sabbath. However, for the New Testament, our rest, or the rest that we should be doing, because remember the New Testament is the final church for us on earth. What we should be doing is resting our works. So every day you should be keeping the Sabbath. The works of the flesh the Bible talks about, that includes adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, all of them is in the scriptures, right? And it lays it out. You should be resting from the works of flesh, which is sin. So he basically said that he keeps the Sabbath every day. That is the New Testament way of keeping the Sabbath. Not just going to church on a Saturday. A lot of people who claim that they're keeping the Sabbath, no one keeps the Sabbath the way how the Bible says to keep the Sabbath. The trumpets that it talks about in the New Testament, no, in the Old Testament it says the trumpets, the preacher's voice, something about the preacher's voice being that trumpet, right? So, as I said, it seems like two different things, but it has the same meaning. You just need that person who is sent from God to really explain it in detail. A lot of people might not understand what I just said, but trust me, if you go and listen to Jennings, you will get it, bro. Trust.
that was a very interesting perspective. Honestly, I never really thought about it like that in terms of keeping the Sabbath like every day. You know, it was in my head. It seemed more literal. You know, where people were fighting. No, it's on a Saturday. No, it's on a Sunday. You know, so like you saying that right now just give me like a whole new perspective on the whole idea. But no, we're at our final question. What I would like to ask is, what do you think is, how do you see yourself in the future in terms of, you know, your work, your career, Gunnaz, all that? How do you see yourself in the future?
Alright, so I want to branch this off in 3 different stages. So, Gunnaz, career, family.
Yeah.
So, as it relates to Gunnaz, Dylan and I want to be the best.
Yeah.
So, we want to be the best in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, eventually the best in the world. And it shows based on the things that we do, the people that we bring on. We don't just keep it Jamaican based.
Yeah.
I brought on people from Ireland, that Manchester United fan.
Yeah, I remember.
After the Spurs game, a lot of people say, "Who you got him on? Who you got him on?" Just search, DM. It's simple.
Yeah, it's really simple.
It's really simple. If you get a response, sometimes I'm sending chain messages to 40 different people.
Yeah.
Right? I go in comments. Each time when I'm looking for a preview to a specific Premier League game, I go in comments looking for a fan that sounds like he could, based on his comments, sound like he could. And I send blast messages after all of them. Yeah. Sometimes I get them, sometimes they respond late and they're like, oh, next time, right?
Yeah.
So, that's it. For us, we want to be the best, but we're not gonna make just because we want to be the best mean we're rushing things or we're not following the plan.
Like you're choosing like quantity over quality.
Yeah. So we're very goal oriented. Rome wasn't built. Even the other day, Dylan was like, he sent a message in our group and he was like, what can we do? How can we do this? Bro, we just want to get more views, bro. And then that was part of the conversation I had, bro. We're on track to our first goal, monetization. And we're beating the numbers that we set out. Focus on that, and then after that we can branch off, set new goals and focus on that. AFTV wasn't built overnight. And look at them now. Right? So that's the main goal for Gunnaz. Branching off, getting people from all around the world. We have people from Africa coming on soon. I have someone from South Korea. I have that Ireland link already. We already had people from Africa on, already from Dylan's school since he's abroad. So that's the main thing. We're not only thinking locally, we're thinking abroad. For my career now, I've taken it very seriously, bro. So I love what I do. It's fun. It's a hustle, but it's fun. I realize that the people who have employed me trust me. They have a plan for me. And they have my back. So I will continue to do what I'm doing and continue to grow, continue to learn and be the best closer that I can be. They have a lot of plans for me. I won't disclose, but they have a lot of plans for me. So yeah, that's just it. Just focusing every day, becoming the best you can be, perfecting every day. I have to be with my boss as well. He's another mentor. The way how he thinks, what he's been through, and just simple things. I don't get to him a lot. Even though in this new position, I get to talk to him a bit more. But back then when I didn't get to him a lot, I really cherished the times that I had to talk to him. One-on-one especially. So that's it for my career. I just want to focus, continue growing, going up, earning more, because that's what you have a career for. And yeah, be the best I can be in both worlds. I love journalism, I love the podcast, I love closing, I love real estate. And to finish it off, family. So, family for me wasn't, I love my dad and I love my mom. But family for me wasn't, that type that you could talk a lot or you could be emotional. So that's my main goal in life. To have a God-centered family, wife, children, and to just show my children love. And they know some love them every day. Some them have to play ball still. But yeah, bro, that's the main goal out of life, bro, right now. I'm not chasing, you know, like how back then when we were kids, they used to chase women and them things, but right now, tunnel vision, bro. Your job, your goals, and if God has a plan for you with somebody, the person will come. You see me? So, yeah, bro. That's basically family, work, podcast.
Alright, it's been a good interview. There was a lot of good words shared, you know. I hope that anybody that listens, you know, will gain something from it, and definitely check out Gunnaz podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's it from me, and yeah. And that's it. There you have it. That concludes the interview with me and the Gunners boss himself, Dicanio Tomlinson. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the interview like I did, and please let me know how I did. Should I continue? Should I stop? As I said, this is the first time I've ever tried anything like this, so your feedback would be greatly appreciated. No, please like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.